It's official. Xbox has no chill. I've said it a few times now that the Xbox marketing team has done a wonderful job of keeping the Xbox brand in the headlines pretty much week in and week out. I'm sure there's some downtime somewhere in between, but they've done a really good job of keeping Xbox in the headlines, whether it be renaming things like Xbox Live to Xbox Network, or dropping a $99 headset, or adding things to Game Pass. They have just done a good job of not letting the Xbox conversation fade away post-launch cycle, which we have seen historically in previous generations. Now, we've known that Microsoft is working a lot on Game Pass. That's their priority. And late last week, actually it was on Friday, they announced what I consider to be a huge deal. Now, we already knew that MLB The Show was coming to Xbox. That was a big deal in itself, that it was no longer a Sony exclusive, that you would soon have a really good baseball game on the Xbox platform. The bigger deal is that it's coming to Game Pass. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal, and I'm not going to cover every single game coming to Game Pass, but this game is built by PlayStation Studios. This is a Sony company building a game that is coming to Game Pass on day one. Now, besides the fact that your mind just kind of goes blown with Microsoft now having not just a third party like what they do with Outriders, but a competing studio with the PlayStation title coming to Game Pass, it really shows that Game Pass is the future. And I almost kind of wonder aloudly, am I ever really going to buy a game again? Because there's only one title that I can think of that I'd actually go out and buy, which is honestly Call of Duty, which hurts me a bit to say, but even then I may not buy it because Warzone is what I play the most. That being said, there's so many games now in the Game Pass that I actually want to play that there's just not enough time to keep myself married and to play the games that I want. There has to be a balance in there somewhere. Anyways, MLB The Show coming is really a big deal because this is Microsoft reaching across those exclusivity borders that we've seen previously and now bringing something like that into Game Pass. It's a pretty big shift, and I think it might be the tipping point for things we're going to see to come with the service. And so just keep your eyes just on the lookout. Now, the big question here is what was the driving force to bring this title to Game Pass? Obviously, it's being built by PlayStation Studios, but the overarching company that is in charge, or at least is licensing it, is the Major League Baseball, MLB. So there's going to be some downward pressure to get this title onto everything because for the MLB, it's probably better to have them on both platforms rather than exclusive rights, although I would imagine that they were probably making a pretty good penny by exclusively licensing it to the PlayStation brand. So the question is, where was that driving force? Was it MLB saying, look, we don't want to do exclusive contracts anymore, you got to build this for the Xbox as well? Very well could be. Is this Microsoft reaching out and saying, hey, look, we really want this on here. What can we do to make it happen? Very well could be. The end result, or the net result of all this, is that it just makes it a better game for everybody. Not to mention, more people have access to it, which is good for Major League Baseball. It's more access to more gamers, which is just good for everybody. And it's just one more title coming into Game Pass that really ups the value of the service. Right now, when you consider MLB The Show with all of the EA Play titles, I believe they just dropped Madden 2K21, and there's a couple others, FIFA as well. Game Pass is a really effective way to play all the major sports titles. There's some caveats in there. For $15 a month, something like that. I mean, that's crazy. That is kind of crazy when you think about how much value there is in that service. And I'm not trying to just be a Game Pass shill, but it's $15 and you get access to tons of major sports titles. That is sort of unheard of just a few years ago. Nobody ever would have expected this. So it's a good thing that they've done. Anyways, so keep your eyes on the lookout. That is coming later this month. MLB The Show from PlayStation Studios landing on Game Pass. That's a really hard sentence to kind of say, but hey, 2021. Things are different now. And so here we go. The other thing that is really boiling across the internet is Xbox events, and there's actually 2 Xbox related events this month, I believe. The first one is one that we've already known because it's already been announced. GameStack Live is happening April 20 through the 21st. Now, GameStack Live is the technology that's behind the games that makes them possible. We're talking DirectX 12 features. We're talking about how to get the best optimized multiplayer experiences. This is what game developers should be paying attention to if they want to build next generation titles. or even I should say current generation titles to be completely fair, but this is Microsoft showcasing their entire development stack for game developers to help them build great experiences. And considering that Microsoft owns the Xbox, they own Windows 10, their development stack is going to be deeply integrated into all that, especially with DirectX 12, which, as you guessed it, Microsoft also owns as well. And so this is going to be a big event for that. This is also a great event where you can kind of look and sort of foresee what Microsoft is pushing towards with the Xbox console. This is where they're talking about pushing the boundaries of what you can do in gaming. And if they're going to be trying to court developers to use those features, this is the event that happens. So it's not necessarily like, hey, here's 5 awesome features coming to the Xbox platform. Here's 5 great development tools that are going to enable these awesome experiences coming to the platform, if that makes sense. Now, there's also believed to be another Xbox event this month. Now, rolling back the clock just a little bit, earlier in the year, Microsoft sent the press, myself included, that, hey, we're going to be holding a bunch of micro events or smaller events called like the What's Next in X. We've already seen like What's Next in Productivity or the workplace. There's going to be one for Windows, and there's also one for gaming. Now, full credit to Mary Jo Foley, as she got the scoop on this, that she believes that that event is happening this month for gaming. Now, what I don't know yet is, are the GameStack event and this next What's Next for gaming linked in any way? Now, it is believed that they are 2 separate events, but at the same time, you can see how What's Next for Gaming and GameStack Live are tangibly related, right? GameStack Live has some forward-looking features and functionality coming to gaming, and What's Next for Gaming is, well, What's Next for Gaming. And so what do I believe we're going to be seeing in that What's Next for Gaming? I think it's pretty sure that we are going to be seeing iOS streaming and cloud gaming streaming on the PC. Phil Spencer even said, hey, the iOS stuff is coming pretty soon. So it looks like those 2 events are going to be happening this month, which again, Xbox has no chill. Like, they're just rolling with the punches here right up through the spring, at least it looks like so far, with big announcements and big events to, again, keep that Xbox brand in the forefront of the news. Microsoft just deserves a lot of credit here. There was actually a post out about how Phil Spencer has turned around the Xbox brand in his, I believe it's 7 years, which is feels like yesterday, but you gotta keep in mind the long gaming cycles of building a console, getting it shipped, getting the marketing aligned. This is his real first generation of being in complete control and running with the messaging that he has been pushing. And I think by all accounts, we can all agree that he's done some pretty good stuff. And so the fact that we're seeing cloud gaming really starting to come into its own, hopefully by the end of this year, we will have all 3 major platforms, meaning, or I should say iOS, Android, and Windows, all streaming at high fidelity, out of beta, no restrictions whatsoever. Will be a really big win for the Xbox brand and its push to get Game Pass even larger. So we're looking at, third-party titles from Sony. We're looking at PlayStation, or not PlayStation, but being able to play the games on everything, minus the PlayStation. Although it's 2021, who knows? Maybe things will change, although I'm not really expecting that. And so we will see. We will see how the rest of this month shakes out. It is early April. We're looking at 2 events, a PlayStation title headed to Game Pass, and it's getting kind of crazy. So if you want to keep some sanity with that craziness, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.